Dear students, in this video on magnetic effects of current, we will study about motion of charged particles in magnetic field, cyclotron and numerical problems. So let us begin with the first topic, which is force on a charged particle in a magnetic field, and it is also called Lorentz magnetic force. So let us assume that we have a magnetic field set up along x-axis in a region and a charge plus q enters in this region with velocity v at an angle theta with the magnetic field. Now due to this magnetic field, this charge will experience a force. Now that force is directly proportional to the charge. So that means greater is the amount of charge, greater will be the force. This force is also proportional to magnetic field, means stronger is the magnetic field, greater will be the force experienced by the charged particle. And the third one is, see, if you look at this velocity v, then it has a component v sine theta along z-axis. Now v sine theta is perpendicular to magnetic field B. So this component v sine theta is important. Now the magnetic force is proportional to this perpendicular component of velocity, which is v sine theta. So combining all three together, we get F is equal to QVB sine theta. And since it is a force, we must know its direction also. So the vector form of this relation is F is equal to QV cross B. And the direction of the force will be along this cross product. And you know that the cross product is normal to the plane containing the vectors. That means this force vector should be normal to the plane containing V and B, and that normal will be along y-axis, right? And using right hand screw rule, this F has to be along plus y-axis. So the force vector is along plus y-axis, right? And if this charge is negative, then the force will be along minus y-axis. So that is an important point to note. This force is called Lorentz magnetic force. And one more important point to note is that this force is perpendicular to velocity. And when force is perpendicular to velocity, the magnitude of velocity remains unchanged. Only the direction of motion changes. The charge will describe a circular path. The charge will move along a circular path, right? And some cases here, see. If we have a neutral particle moving in a magnetic field, then the force experienced by it is zero. That means a neutron moving in magnetic field will not experience any force. And a charge at rest, velocity v is equal to 0, will experience zero force. So a stationary charge does not experience any force in magnetic field. Now another special case, when the angle between velocity vector and the magnetic field is 0 or 180 degree. That means the charge is moving parallel or anti-parallel to magnetic field. Then also F is equal to 0, because you know that sine 0 or sine 180 is 0. So that means if you have uniform magnetic field B and plus Q charge is moving with velocity V, then this charge will not experience any force and this velocity V will remain constant. No change in its velocity, and the charge will move along a straight path only. And if the charge is moving anti-parallel to magnetic field, then also it will not experience any force and it will continue to move along the straight path. Now, when this angle theta is 90 degree, and you know that sine 90 is 1, so the force experienced by the charge becomes QVB, and sine 90 is 1 is maximum value, so this force is maximum. So the force experienced by the charge is QVB, and under this force the charge will follow a circular path because force and velocity are perpendicular to each other. So let us take a region where magnetic field is set up normal to the plane of this paper or sheet inwards, and a charge plus q is entering in this magnetic field with velocity v perpendicular to it. Then according to right hand screw rule and Lorentz force, you know that it will experience a force along the direction shown, and this force will make the charge describe a circular path. See, this force is perpendicular. The force is perpendicular to the velocity at every point. When the point charge reaches here, the force will be inwards. So this force is centripetal force. It is directed towards the center of the circular path. Okay. At every point, the force will be directed towards the center and the velocity will be tangential. Now, what if the charge is a negative charge? If it is negative charge and it is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, then this also will experience a perpendicular force only, but the direction of the force will be opposite in this direction, you can see. And under effect of this force, the negative charge will describe a circle only, but the sense of description of the circular path will be opposite. Now let us try to find out relation for the radius of this path and the time period and frequency of this circular motion. So now the centripetal force is provided by this magnetic force only. So F is equal to QVB, and that is equal to centripetal force mv square upon r. सिंप्लीफाई कर दीजिए, एक भी कट जाएगा and you get r is equal to mv upon qb. Now the time period is 2 pi r, that is the circumference, divided by the velocity, and put the value of r from here and you get time period as 2 pi m upon qb, and the frequency is qb upon 2 pi m. Now one interesting thing to note is that this time period and frequency do not depend on the velocity. That means, and it only depends on the nature of the charge, that is its charge, its mass and magnetic field. That means the charge has constant time period, but if the initial velocity is more, it will describe a path with greater radius. That means if the velocity increases, the radius will increase, but the time period and frequency will remain unchanged. Now this Lorentz force is given by Fleming's left hand rule, and if you extend your thumb, index finger and middle finger mutually perpendicular to each other, then the middle finger, if middle finger shows the velocity of positive charge and the magnetic field is shown by your index finger, then the thumb shows the force experienced by the charge. And if the charge is negative, minus q, then it will experience a force opposite to this force, right? So here comes the explanation statement, right? and for negative charge. Okay. So now a general case. When theta lies between 0 and 90 degree. That means the velocity of charge and magnetic field make any angle other than 0 or 90 degree. It describes a helical path. So let us look at this figure. Here we have shown magnetic field along x-axis and a charge q is entering here in xz plane. So this charge q is entering with velocity v in this xz plane and making angle theta with magnetic field. Then this velocity has a component v cos theta along x-axis or along the direction of magnetic field, right? And it has a component along z-axis v sin theta, which is perpendicular to magnetic field, right? So now due to this v sin theta, the charge will describe a circular path, right? And due to this v cos theta, which is parallel to magnetic field, the charge will not experience any force along the direction of magnetic field. So it will continue to move with constant velocity along the direction of B or along the x-axis, right? So the charge will have combination of two motions. One motion due to v sin theta, other motion due to v cos theta, right? Okay, now see, due to v sin theta it is describing circular path. Due to v cos theta it will move along a linear path. So the distance between consecutive circular paths is called pitch, and we are going to find out relations for them. So let us look at this one. When charge plus q enters magnetic field with velocity v at an angle theta, it will describe circular path due to component v sin theta under effect of Lorentz force, and it will describe a linear motion due to v cos theta as the charge experiences no force along the direction of the magnetic field, right? Or under the effect of the two types of motions, the charge describes a helical path, spring-like path, and the distance between consecutive circular paths is called pitch. So now it's mathematical part. See, the magnetic force provides necessary centripetal force for circular motion. So look at this now. The magnetic force is F is equal to Q V sin theta into B. And centripetal force is mv square upon r. So in place of V, we have V sin theta. Simplify it, you get radius of the path as mv sin theta upon qb. Now the time period of one revolution, t is 2 pi r upon velocity, which is v sin theta. Simplify it, 2 pi m upon qb, and this is constant. Frequency of revolution is reciprocal of time period, qb upon 2 pi m. This is also constant. Now we will find out the linear distance travelled by the charge in this time only, and that will be its pitch. So look at it. The linear distance covered by the charge along the magnetic field in time t, in one time period. So pitch will be velocity into time. Velocity is v cos theta. Time we have just found out. Put the values and you get 2 pi m v cos theta upon qb. So this is relation for the pitch. And now a very interesting example of crossed electric and magnetic field. See, when electric and magnetic fields are set up perpendicular to each other in a region, they are said to be crossed. So here we have set up magnetic field along x-axis in xz plane, and we have a charge plus q moving along z-axis with velocity v. Now according to this Lorentz force F is equal to QV cross B, the charge experiences a magnetic force along plus y axis using Fleming's left hand rule. Right? Now we want to find out the situation when this charge continues to move with the same velocity without deflection. So what should be the condition? In what direction should you set up the electric field? So that is the problem. Now this charge must not experience any force. That means the electric field should be equal and opposite to magnetic force. That means electric force should be along minus y axis. Right? And you know that a positive charge experiences force along the direction of electric field. That means electric field also should be along the direction of minus y axis. You see? Look at the figure. So I hope this figure is very clear to you now. Right? And in such a situation, this will continue, the charge will continue to move without deflection along z-axis. Now let us look at the magnitudes also. Now the force, electric force is equal to QE, and see, electric force and magnetic force are equal and opposite. So their magnitudes should be equal. That is QE is equal to QVB, and simplify it, you get V is equal to E upon B. This velocity of the charge should be equal to E upon B. Then only it can continue to move along the same direction undeflected. Now I wish to discuss a very special case. What if this charge is negative? Now in that situation, let us have a look at the situation when this charge is negative. This charge I am taking as negative charge, minus q, right? Now according to this Fleming's left hand rule, negative charge will experience a force along minus y axis. So Fm is downwards. And this negative charge should experience zero force. So electric force should be upwards along plus y axis, Fe. And a negative charge experience force opposite to its electric field. See, F is equal to minus QE. You already know. That means electric field should be set up along minus y axis only. Electric field. And which was the case in the previous case also. तो चार्ज पॉजिटिव है तब भी इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड माइनस वाई में था, और चार्ज नेगेटिव है तब भी इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड माइनस वाई एक्सिस के अलोंग ही है. So now let us see the application of this motion of a charged particle in magnetic field. See, cyclotron is a particle oscillator. It works on the principle that a positively charged can be accelerated to high velocity or energy by using a low intensity high frequency oscillator with help of a crossed magnetic field. That means perpendicular electric and magnetic fields. So let us look at the construction. It consists of two Ds, metallic Ds, hollow conductors, and it is placed between strong magnetic poles, and the magnetic field is normal to the surface of the Ds, and the Ds are connected to a high frequency oscillator. So a charge can be generated in the gap between the Ds. You can see here, right? So let us look at a simpler version of this one. Here the Ds D1 and D2 are hollow, connected to oscillator, and magnetic field is normal to the plane. A charge plus Q is generated in the gap. Now supposing when this charge Q comes, say this D1 is negative and D2 is positive. Now in that situation, this charge will be accelerated inside D2. And since it is a conductor, the electric field inside D2 is 0. That means this charge Q will experience only magnetic field which is perpendicular to velocity. So this charge will describe a circular path, and the moment it reaches this gap, the polarities of D's will change with the help of oscillator. So in that case, now this D1 becomes negative and D2 becomes positive. So first it came inside, took half circle and reached the gap. The moment it reached the gap, it will be pulled inside D1. That means acceleration takes place, velocity will increase, and once it reaches inside the D, again electric field is 0, and it will describe circular motion under effect of the magnetic field but with greater radius, and this will continue till it reaches the final stage, and then it is taken out from this window. So by the time it comes out, its velocity is large. So that is the mechanism of working of cyclotron. Okay, you can see it follows spiral path. And now construction, which I have already discussed. It consists of two D-shaped hollow conductors D1 and D2 placed between strong magnetic poles with their planes normal to magnetic field B. The Ds are connected to high frequency oscillator, and a charge Q can be generated in the gap between the Ds. Working. When charge plus Q is generated in the gap, and at that time if D1 is positive and D2 is negative, then Q accelerates towards D2. Now inside D2, electric field is 0 as it is a conductor. So plus Q describes circular path under effect of perpendicular magnetic field according to Fleming's left hand rule. And when this plus Q reaches the gap, the D2 becomes positive and D1 becomes negative. Polarities change. So the plus Q now accelerates into D1, and in this way it continues to make semicircular paths with greater velocity, and finally it is taken out from the window W with greater velocity, greater kinetic energy. And let us look at its mathematical part. So, for circular motion, the centripetal force is provided by magnetic force. So, F is equal to QVB is equal to mv square upon r. Simplify it, you get r is equal to mv upon qb. So time to reach the gap. Now since it is describing semicircular path, so this half of circumference 2 pi r upon v, that is pi m upon qb, which is constant. So time for one complete revolution will be twice of it, 2 pi m upon qb. So the frequency is qb upon 2 pi m, reciprocal of time period. And see, this frequency should be equal to the frequency of the oscillator. It is also called cyclotron frequency. If the frequency of circular motion and that of cyclotron, that of oscillator, see, oscillator changes the polarity of these. If these frequencies are not equal, then they will go out of step and the cyclotron will not work. Now, condition for maximum velocity and energy. Now see that r is equal to, from this relation, r is equal to mv upon qb, or v is equal to qbr upon m. So when the charge is making the final revolution, this radius r will be maximum and the velocity will become maximum. So the maximum velocity is qbr upon m, which is r, where r maximum is radius of the d, and maximum kinetic energy is half mv square. Sorry, this is half mv square. And putting the value of v here, you get the maximum kinetic energy as q square b square r square upon 2m. An interesting thing to note is that it is independent of the velocity. It depends on the charge, its mass, magnetic field and radius of the d. This is a very important question for your board examination. And now limitations of cyclotron. Now cyclotron cannot be used to accelerate neutral particles like neutron, and a cyclotron cannot be used to accelerate electrons. Reason being, it is very light and it acquires very high velocity in relativistic limits. So when the velocity is comparable with the velocity of light, it is said to be in relativistic limits. And in that case, the mass does not remain constant. Mass changes. And if the mass changes, then frequency of revolution will also change, and the motion of charges will get out of step with that of the oscillator. So it is not possible. According to Einstein's equation, the mass changes. And look at this equation now. See, m is the mass of moving electron and m naught is the mass, rest mass of electron. V is the velocity of electron. Now when this, and c is velocity of light in vacuum. So when this v is very large, then this whole thing increases and this mass m is greater than m naught. So the frequency qb upon 2 pi m does not remain constant and the cyclotron cannot work for electron. So these are the symbols used. And now we will take a very important numerical problem. A proton and an alpha particle enter a uniform magnetic field perpendicular to it with same initial velocity, same initial momenta, same initial kinetic energy. Find ratio of their radii of paths followed by them in each case. Now, this question is asked in board very often, sometimes one part, two part, or maybe all three parts together. So, a very important formula for this is this one. R is equal to mv upon qb is equal to p upon qb. See, mv is linear momentum, p upon qb. And relation between linear momentum and kinetic energy is P is equal to under root 2 me. Right? So let us start with the first part. When velocity is constant. See, magnetic field B is constant in each case. Now when the velocity is also constant, then from this relation we can ignore velocity and magnetic field, and then we get R is proportional to m upon q. So taking ratio, see, our radius of proton upon radius of alpha particle, और proportional to mass है तो प्रोटॉन के सामने प्रोटॉन का मास, अल्फा पार्टिकल के सामने अल्फा पार्टिकल का मास, एंड आर इज इन्वर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल टू क्यू, तो क्यू उल्टा कर देंगे. सो नाउ प्रोटॉन का चार्ज नीचे और अल्फा पार्टिकल का चार्ज ऊपर, एंड यू नो दैट mass of proton is 1, mass of alpha particle is 4, charge on alpha particle is 2, charge on proton is 1. Simplify it, you get 1 upon 2. So the solution is in one line only. For the next part, when momentum is constant, so R is equal to P upon QB. So we can ignore P and B. So R is inversely proportional to Q. And in that case, Rp upon R alpha will be Q alpha upon Qp. Inverse relationship है, उल्टा हो जाएंगे. That is equal to 2 upon 1 or 2. Okay. Now for the third case, when kinetic energy is constant. So R is equal to under root 2 me upon Qb. Now neglect the constants E, B and 2. You get R is proportional to under root m upon Q. And then taking the ratio, Rp upon R alpha is equal to under root mp upon m alpha into q alpha upon qp, and put the values, you get 1. The ratio comes out to be 1. So this is a very, very important problem, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that this video is beneficial to you all. Thank you very much for watching.